Who are we really? Before you answer that question, stay till the end of this video, because what's about to be revealed may completely shift the way you see God, yourself, and the world you live in. There is a revelation at the heart of this message, one that will challenge everything you've been taught about existence, purpose, and the divine nature within you. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. This is Yeshua Call, and today we're diving deep into the question that sits beneath every belief, every theory, every struggle, and every breath you take. Who are you, really? A body, a soul, a spirit, an accident of the universe, or something far more intentional? Before the core truth is revealed, the part that ties everything together, make sure you like, subscribe to Yeshua Call, and comment, "I am a soul on a mission." It helps this message reach more people who are searching for answers just like you. Now let's begin. Scientifically, the world is said to have been created out of randomness, the Big Bang Theory. But what makes this theory absurd is the claim that something could happen without a reason. Nothing happens without a cause. Even if there was an explosion, or whatever event science describes, when you look closely at the scientific variables and the order that followed, you realize that something or someone initiated it. There is always a reason behind every action, and that reason, the ultimate cause of all things, is God. Many Christians love to begin the gospel from Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. But the real beginning is revealed in John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. If you read further in that same chapter, you'll find that it says, "The Word was made flesh and dwelt among men." Now, if you go back again to Genesis 1:26, you'll see where God said, "Let us make man in our image." That line reveals something deep. God was not talking to himself alone. He said, "us." There was communion, a conversation happening within the divine. It means God was speaking to others like him, not other gods in the pagan sense, but the divine persons that exist in unity with him. To understand this properly, we have to look at what Yeshua taught. When Yeshua sent out his disciples, he instructed them to baptize in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit. He mentioned three identities, Father, Son, and Spirit, meaning that each of these identities was distinct, yet inseparable. Each plays an important role, and none can be left out. The Father is as important as the Son, and the Son is as important as the Spirit. Each of these divine identities has a function. Not much is known about the Father, even though the Old Testament gives many references where he says, "I am the Lord your God," as often speaking to the Israelites. Still, the Father remains more mysterious than we can comprehend. He communicates through people, through signs, through objects, and even through what we may call illusions. No one has ever truly seen the Father. Even Moses, who claimed to have seen him, did not see the Father directly. He only saw a portion of his glory, a glimpse of his presence. The Father is the most mysterious aspect of divinity. The Son, on the other hand, was what we saw. The Word that became flesh and dwelt among men was Yeshua himself. And the Spirit is what we feel, the channel through which we experience the Father today. The Spirit still lives among men. If you desire him, he dwells with you. But if you reject him, he will not stay. Each of these three, the Father, the Son, and the Spirit, plays a specific and vital role. The Son's role was to lead humanity back to the Father. The Spirit's role now is to guide humanity through life, because the Son has already fulfilled his earthly mission. The Spirit connects man directly to the Father. Now let's ask the question, who are we really? To ask this question is to reflect on what was discussed earlier, that the image of God isn't about physical features like eyes, ears, arms, or legs. The image of God is something spiritual. It is multidimensional. Just as the Father is spirit, we are spiritual beings. Just as the Spirit gives life, we have a soul. And just as the Son lived in the flesh, we too live in a body. Yeshua himself was a model. His life on earth was an example of how men should live. He showed us what perfect alignment with God looks like. The problem with humanity today is that we have forgotten that we possess a grand will, the will of the Spirit. And the will of the Spirit is the will of the Father. The soul is where our choices lie, and the body is the vessel that carries out those choices. When Christ came to live among men, he showed us what this alignment looks like. His body was used to fulfill the will of the Father, which is the will of the Spirit. In a sense, Yeshua's life wasn't lived according to human desires. It was completely surrendered to divine purpose. He said this countless times, "I am not here to do my own will, but the will of the one who sent me." He also said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life." That statement means that if we follow him, his way of life, his example, his actions, then we follow the Father. By walking his path, we fulfill our divine purpose. But as human beings, we often forget this. We tend to live by the will of the body, chasing physical satisfaction and ignoring the will of the Spirit, the higher purpose given to us by the Father. To be truly reborn as a Christian, one must be baptized. The baptism of water symbolizes cleansing, the washing away of the old life. But there is also the baptism of the Spirit, which prepares us to receive the presence of God, the Holy Spirit. If God's Spirit does not dwell in a person, then another spirit will take residence. That other spirit will push the body to do its own will, contrary to God's. But if the Spirit of God lives within you, then your body becomes an instrument for the will of the Father. So when you have the Spirit dwelling within you, you naturally begin to do his will. But then the question arises, what is God's will really? This is where it gets difficult. God's will can be unclear, sometimes frightening. It might not make sense from a mortal point of view. It might not seem good or pleasant, but in the end, it always works for the greater good. For example, look at Yeshua. God's will for him was to die. From a human perspective, that sounds insane. How could God's will involve pain, humiliation, and death? But through that one death, many were saved. So we can conclude that God's will is not always comfortable, but it works for the common good at the end. The will of the Father on earth might not be to give us perfect comfort or endless happiness. Earth itself is not the true home. It is a test, a temporary stage. We should not grow too attached to it, because attachment leads to fear of God's will. Even Yeshua, during his time on earth, showed moments of human attachment. When he prayed in Gethsemane, he said, "If it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done." That showed that even he, in his human nature, felt the weight of the Father's will. He didn't want the suffering, but he still surrendered. If we think of it this way, God's plan is like a writer's story. A writer creates characters, the protagonist, the antagonist, the supporting cast. Each character serves a purpose. Without the antagonist, there is no thrill, no conflict, no growth. A story that only says Lily met Dean and they got married and lived happily ever after is not really a story. It lacks challenge, tension, and transformation. Similarly, life must have trials, obstacles, and tragedies. These give meaning to existence. Every event, good or bad, is part of a grand narrative written by God. Sometimes our roles in this story might be difficult. Some people are meant to die young. Others are meant to live long lives. Some enjoy a peaceful life. Others go through a more difficult life. But each of these persons' story fits perfectly into God's grand design. If only this truth were understood, worry would cease. Questions about why certain things happen would stop, and life would be enjoyed fully each day by loving, laughing, embracing every opportunity and challenge, knowing that life is a part of a larger purpose. Let's take this analogy, for example. Two friends were created, friend A and friend B. Friend A's purpose was to die so that friend B could awaken spiritually, though neither of them understood it at the time. Friend A's death would become the spark that triggered something deep within friend B, pushing him to act, to change, to become. Friend B would spend the rest of his life remembering how friend A lived, how full of life he was, how happy he seemed even without having everything figured out. That memory would stay with him, growing into reflection and meaning. Perhaps it would inspire him to write a book about living joyfully, staying present, and being grounded despite life's uncertainties. Now imagine that this book touches millions of lives. People begin to live more consciously, more peacefully, all because of the message friend B shared, a message born from friend A's death. Could we then say that friend A's life was meaningless or random? No. We could say that his death served a divine purpose, one that rippled far beyond his own lifetime. The same goes for Yeshua. His story wasn't one of unending joy. It ended with tragedy, betrayal, suffering, and death. But from that tragedy came resurrection and glory. He had to suffer to be exalted. That's the pattern of divine purpose. Some of us will walk similar paths, whether we like it or not. Good people sometimes die young because they have completed their mission. They fulfilled their purpose and are taken away before the world corrupts them. So when we ask, who are we really? The answer becomes clear. We are spirits who have souls, and we live in bodies. We are sent to earth to fulfill a divine mission, the will of God. If we're not doing God's will, then we're living under the will of opposing forces, the devil. If the devil possesses someone whose destiny is meant for sacrifice, he will prolong that person's life, delaying the completion of their purpose. That's why sometimes it seems that bad people live longer. But in the end, God's purpose still prevails. Yeshua's life is the complete model for us. His journey included temptation. The devil offered him the whole world in exchange for compromise. But Yeshua resisted. His responses, his actions, his discipline, they all serve as a guide for how we should live. Our purpose on earth might not be easy or pleasant. It might demand sacrifice, but when we die, when we awaken from this temporary life, everything will become clear. We will finally understand why we existed and why things happened the way they did. As Christians, if we are not awakened to the knowledge that this world is not the real world, we will remain attached to it. We will resist living according to God's will and fail to understand who we truly are. We are spirits on a mission, each of us sent with a purpose, to fulfill the will of God on earth. But at the end, there is a choice. We can either accomplish this purpose or fail. So who are we really? We are not accidents. We are not random beings wandering through a chaotic universe. We are spirits with souls living in bodies, each sent here with intention, with design, with purpose. Each of us is a character in God's grand story, and every joy, every tragedy, every silence, every struggle plays its part in shaping who we become. You have a mission. You were sent with a purpose. And the moment this truth is awakened to, everything changes. If this message spoke to your spirit, don't leave without acting on it. Like this video so it reaches more people. Subscribe to Yeshua Call for more revelations like this, and comment below. I am a soul on a mission. Let heaven and earth witness your awakening. This is Yeshua Call, and this is who you really are.